I obviously love solos and licks, I am a guitar player after all, but if I have to be honest, I kinda like chords better, because you can do a lot of interesting things with chords. Not only can you take a pretty normal chord, like let's say a G major chord, and add extra notes to it and give it a completely different vibe, like maybe you make it a G sharp 11 chord, and you make it a super dreamy chord that is still a G major chord but just extra spicy. And even sometimes you don't really need to add extra notes to it, you can just change the way they're laid out, because if you play a G major chord like this, it has a different vibe than playing it like this, or than even playing it like this. And I remember this one time I was just messing around with this shape for a G minor 11 chord, which is basically a G minor chord, but you add the 4th or the 11th, in this case the note C, and I'm doing this shape with the G on the 6th string, the open D string as the 5th, the B flat as the 3rd on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string, the C here on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, and lastly another G on the 3rd fret of the 1st string. And I thought that chord voicing sounded super cool, so I then started to switch it around and was like, hey, what if I do it in C minor instead? In the case of C minor, I guess I could probably play the G with the side knuckle of my thumb here, but it would just become way too complicated, so if I just keep the D string open, this is still kind of a C minor 11 chord, but now I've added a 9th to it, and I don't really have the 5th anymore. But it still sounds cool. And if our song was in G minor, we could have chords like G minor and C minor, and that's still kind of what we have here if we just use the exact same shape. G minor, C minor. They're just a little bit fancy with extra notes to them. And I then noticed we already have a G minor, and we already have a C minor. We're kind of just missing a D minor or a D7 chord to make a G minor blues chord progression. What if I take the exact same shape? What if I use it for G as well? What if I just play it here on the 10th fret with the D on the bass? It becomes a D minor 11, and I was thinking more like a D7 with the 4th added to it, which even though works in this position, wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to keep that same shape that I was using on the G minor and C minor. And I noticed that if I moved the shape from G to A, I could have that D7 chord. I'm actually just missing the more important note, which is the F sharp, but I could then have my minor blues. In fact, I could have multiple minor blues, because if I'm doing a melody or just improvising over these chords, over the G minor 11, it's just a G minor. I'll have to use those notes. Any other note that I choose to use is just a color note. The same thing for the C minor chord. But when it comes to this D, because we're not having the F sharp, you can kind of think of it as a suspended chord. So when you're soloing and improvising over it, you're the one who gets to choose. It's going to be a D minor 7 or a D7, aka a major chord or a minor chord. And I just thought it was super cool. In fact, it led to the verse section of my latest release song, Wandering in the Fog, which if you haven't, you can and should go check out anywhere you listen to your music at, which ended up sounding like this. Like I mentioned before, it is basically a minor blues, nothing much more fancy to it, but it became cooler because of the way we got to that minor blues. Because we were just messing around with chord inversions and using the exact same shape, again helped by the open string, we ended up figuring out all these different versions and inversions of chords that perhaps other instruments like the piano couldn't figure out in this way, because this is very much a guitar player thing to do when it comes to shapes and positions and how easily transposable most chord positions actually are. And like I said before, I just think it's really cool. Is this sort of thing something that you do often, where you take a chord shape and you just move it around to different positions, either not really worrying about what type of chord it is, just looking for something that sounds cool to you, or even like in my case, trying to figure out a cool way to play a chord progression that is super common, like a 12-bar blues or a minor blues, but add a little bit of extra spice to it? Let me know. And while you're at it, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and on all the notifications, follow and stay tuned for more, because I'm releasing new songs every week. I'm releasing new videos every day, twice a day. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll enjoy the other ones too, so perhaps even share it with a friend who might also enjoy them. In case it wasn't obvious already, go check out my latest release song, Wandering in the Fog, anywhere you listen to your music at, and I'm going to take the opportunity to once again thank all of you guys for all the support in these songs and videos. I can only thank you guys so much, but it really means a lot and it really makes a difference. With that being said, I hope to see you in another video, but until then, cheers!